Hello, bonjour Alberta. Did you know that at least 238,000 people speak Français in Alberta? And those numbers just keep on growing? Oui, oui, c'est vrai, it's true. And thanks to Shaw TV Community Access Programming, we get to reach out to everyone to let you know all about special people, places, events, and activities happening right here in this great province, in both English and en français. That's right, mes amis. We begin the first part of our program in English, and then we repeat it en français. So stay with us. Restez à l'écoute.
Welcome et bienvenue to Hello Bonjour Alberta. I'm Marc Lalonde.
And I'm Anne Boiteau.
And I'm Arnaud Goa.
Arnaud Goa is our guest this evening. He is a new president of the association, the Ivoirian Association of Calgary. Now, of course, Ivorian means what, Arnaud?
It means people coming from Ivory Coast.
The Ivory Coast in Africa, so
It's the West Africa.
In West Africa. Now, Arnaud has a very interesting story. He didn't come directly to Calgary from the Ivory Coast. He had a somewhat convoluted trip to arrive here, didn't you?
Yeah.
So let's start with your childhood, Ivory Coast. What's the Ivory Coast like?
Ivory Coast is actually a country in West Africa, and it was according to Africa, the developed country in Africa.
It's big, right?
It's not big, it's a small country, but yeah.
It's well developed?
It's well developed compared to African countries.
To other African countries.
Yeah. Like we grow a lot of cacao in Ivory Coast, so we produce like 40% of world cacaos, like coconuts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of the economics based on agriculture. And we have also a lot of foreigners, like West African people in Ivory Coast, which make the country like very interesting because it meets culture like it is in Calgary or in Canada, I would say.
Oh, okay.
And
so
quite a bit of tourists too, right?
Not, I would say business tourists. The people like German or French people who goes to Africa, they go for like to do a business, not like to visit the country. Yeah.
So the Ivory Coast has got sort of like Calgary. There's lots of beaches and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, like the capital cities on the beaches, like Abidjan, it's a big city. Actually, it's about like 5 million people living there. So it's a big, like a big city. A big city. Yeah.
So you were born there. Was it in the city or in the rural areas?
I was born in city, but not in the capital city. I was born in Saint-Fra, which is about 300 kilometers from like to Abidjan. Yeah.
Okay.
Because my dad was working at that time in this city, so I was born there.
So at what age did you leave the Ivory Coast and why?
I would say, like, I live in the Ivory Coast, I would say 22 exactly, to study in Europe, like in Prague, because I got a scholarship. I got a scholarship to study in Czech Republic, in Prague, because there is, I would say, cooperation between countries.
Okay.
So I was at this university, but I wasn't focused on that because I already got my scholarship. I was waiting for the visa to move in Prague. It was really challenging for me to move in Prague, but interesting. It gave me more experience than staying in Ivory Coast. It gave me the opportunity to be in Canada today, maybe, I would say.
So how was it? What was it like moving from Ivory Coast, where all the people, or most of the people, look one way, to the Czech Republic, where there probably weren't very many dark-skinned people there at that time?
Yeah, you see that in Africa, we say people are more interesting to move, and the things that we think when we are back in Africa, they develop like to have a better life in Europe, or in not also because my parent was interesting to send us in Europe to study, so when we come back we can have a better job. So they were fighting for me to get this scholarship. So I was very happy to, I will say lucky to get to have this scholarship. So when I moved there, I started like 1 year like learning Czech. That was really difficult for me.
Yeah, I
at
was
the
going to
beginning.
ask you
Yeah.
how
So-
tough the language was.
Right. So you speak Czech?
I speak Czech. My wife is Czech, so we speak Czech at
okay.
home now. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay. And what language is spoken mostly in the Ivory Coast?
Africa, I've never, because we don't have exactly like a national language. So people in Ivory Coast speak different, I would say, languages. Dialects. We at home we are not happy when we hear that it's a dialect. It's not a dialect. It's a language.
It's language.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. All separate
Different
languages.
languages.
Yeah.
So tribal
Okay.
languages.
Yeah.
But is French an operating language for the country
the national
also?
language I would say is French, because
Okay.
even with my parents we speak French, and my dad and mom, they come from the same place, but at home we speak French because
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Well, when you were in Europe, though, I understand you did we went back and forth a fair bit between France and the Czech Republic.
Okay.
What were you doing in France?
In France, I was working. When I finished my study in Czech, my master's degree in civil engineering in Paris, so I was like, the French company hired me, so I was working for Vincent Projet International, which is, I would say, one of the biggest French civil engineering companies. Maybe compared to Canada, it will be something like SNC-Lavalin.
Oh, okay.
So I was working with the department of budgeting. So we travel a lot because my department deal with the contracts that over like 30 million euros. So I used to travel a lot from country to Poland, Czech Republic, and then France. A lot, yeah.
In Europe, I guess if you speak more than one language, it's very useful to, especially if you travel, right?
Traveling give me more opportunity. I would say I understand a lot of like I can understand Polish when the people speak, because I work in Poland maybe for about years. Also.
So did you pick up your English while you were in Europe, or did that wait till you got to
I would say
Canada?
the basic. I'm improving my English here. That's why the reason why I moved to Calgary, because I was in Ottawa and I wasn't really speak much English because I was involved most in the French community. It was very interesting for me to be close to French community, because what like my culture is about, but. Nowadays, if I want to have a better life situation, I think that I need the English too. Even if I want the French to be have to be equal to English. To fight for that, I need to know English to communicate with those people.
Mm-hmm. Did you speak English before you came to Canada, or did you learn it just a bit?
Just the basics.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved to Canada, to Ottawa first, I understand, about 5 years ago. What made you make the decision to come to Canada? And at that point, did you intend to stay permanently, or not?
It's really interesting. I was working in Vienna. And I met the Quebec, representing someone represent Quebec in Canadian embassy in Vienna. So I met this guy in the club. I was working on the project in Vienna, and he told me that, what are you doing? I said, no, I'm working, I'm a civil engineer, I'm doing the estimation of the Four Seasons hotel in Vienna. I said, interesting, interesting to move in Canada. I said, what are you talking about? He said, no, if you want it, I can help you. I said, why? I'm happy here. He said, no, you make a lot of money. So he started selling me in Canada. I was curious to listen, and what he was talking about was really interesting for me, for my career, I thought at that time. And so I decided, to apply for the permanent resident. It didn't really took me that much time. So when I got the permanent, I think about 9 months, I got the permanent residence. I said, wow, and I want to internet. Nowadays, there's internet everywhere. So I went to internet and I see the job, a lot of job in my field. So I said, no, I need to quit and go to Canada. I will make more money. So that's why I moved here.
That's what's up.
Okay. And why Ottawa?
My plan was to move to Montreal, and in my field, English was really, because I was traveling, so I find out that English is very important in my field. So I say, Montreal is interesting, but Ottawa, because it's bilingual, like we speak both languages, so I will learn English and use my French.
And did you, when you got to Ottawa, was it bilingual to you, Ottawa?
Oh, Ottawa is not a bilingual. I won't say that. Yeah, not yet. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah,
it's coming.
It's, you know, I work for the French community, and I think that they are working a lot for that, and they're fighting for that, and it's coming soon. Let off.
Yes. And then what made you move to Calgary?
I moved to Calgary because of my wife too, because we both are engineers, and my wife doesn't speak, as I said, she's Czech, she doesn't speak French. And I will say she was stressing a lot, and I wasn't doing in my field too. And you know, for us, everyone was telling us, you guys, maybe Calgary will be better for you. So because you both are engineers, my wife, she's an environmental engineer, so the people advise us to move in Calgary, that it can be better for us. That's why we move here, and you know, getting.
So you've been here now for about a year?
Yeah.
For about a year, okay. And you're both employed?
Yeah, she's employed. She's working just right here. Like she's working for Canon System, which is electricity company.
Okay. And what do you think of Calgary so far?
Oh,
different in the West?
Yeah, it's really different. So the culture, I think I like culture. It's not the same thing. It's the same thing here. I think there's more culture to the east part than here.
It's a little bit larger, I guess.
Larger,
it's more and more coming.
And the traffic here, you need to drive everywhere. In Ottawa, there's not the same things too. So, but it's okay. Yeah, I like Calgary.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you're here with your wife, and you have a daughter, I understand?
Yeah, yes. We have a daughter. Yeah, we have 4. She turned like 4 last week. Yeah.
And of course, recently you've been elected president of the essentially Ivoirian Association of Calgary. How did that come about?
When I moved here, you know, I moved here and I was looking for people from my community. It's interesting to meet them, what they're doing here, and what they think about the country was. And I met some of them, and I realized that you know, things wasn't going as I think it's supposed to be. And I met some of them, and we talked about, and then you know, I was surprised. Like it was our Independence Day, and they have a meeting, and I called them. So I was there, and they decided to do the election, to have a new president to dynamize the organization, and you know.
Is it a large association, community? How many members about?
I would say there's about 100 people.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But there's more people. I would say that, but people don't show up. So
yeah.
So you know, we are working on it right now, and we want the community to be more stronger than it is now, and yeah, we're doing well. People are happy.
So if there are Ivorians watching us and they want to find out more, they want to join up with you, is there a telephone number or a website? Telephone number, I believe, is.
Yeah, if the Ivorian is watching, my phone number is, I think I'm the right person to contact, and my phone number is 587-438-2266.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Arnaud Goa. Stay with us, on continue en français.